Ladies and gentlemen, it's Adrian Zdunchuk, CMT Charter Market Technician, CryptoBurp, and I want to welcome you back to the 6th edition of our Trading Congress, the Trading Congress 2024. We are back. Bitcoin is back, actually trying to break over $94,000, $95,000 as we actually speak. So it's pretty interesting to watch that. And for everybody who's taken who's taken basically a little bit of a chance to hold a stake in this market, right? It's not easy because, of course, there are so many scammers, there are so many rack pools, there are so many traps, there are so many, those self-proclaimed experts and all those fake influencers that just basically want to rip you off and just get you all the minefield and the rack pools. It's just not really safe industry to be in, which is why you have to follow profitable professionals, which is why you have to pick the right people, which is why we're actually organizing this virtual trade camp, this virtual trade summit for the past 6 editions. And for everybody who's not yet there, do make sure to jump in our free membership, actually right now, limited free membership for all the people. This is open days. We celebrate the feast, basically this is the Feast of the Traders International. We're reaching out tens of thousands of people right now as we speak. And each and every single person has an opportunity to acquire the free membership for a limited time. So go ahead and click on the links in the description, scan the QR code, so you're gonna get the actual membership right there. And we're also giving away 3 memberships, VIP access to everybody for aftermath or afterwards, to get profitable guidance, to get 24/7 help, just to learn how to avoid all those shilly, scammy pump and dumps, organized by so many self-proclaimed experts and gurus. And actually, on the completely far opposite, we have all the incredible professionals who have been in a space for such a long time, all the incredible builders, all the people who hold, like I said, all the sorts of different professional diplomas, accreditations, proficiencies, like I said, experience in a space. And one of them is actually today's guest, Charles Dossi, who is CEO of the dYdX Foundation, who are our incredible partners and sponsors. So huge shout out to you on the front, and welcome to the show. Comment ça va, mon ami?
It goes very, very well. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a big fan of the show, and knowing that eventually we get to spend some time together with you and the community, Adrian, it's super exciting. So let's go for it. Let's get this conversation going. Hard questions only, and I'm sure there is some people which will make good use of the chat also to make this conversation useful for everyone. So looking forward to that.
Love it so much. So each and every single question you actually asked me, to make it a little bit more complicated. So I'm gonna try and bring a little bit of a twist.
I hope I will not regret it, but let's do it.
I'll try to bring in a little bit of a twist to each even simple question, right? So just kicking it off, like for everybody, it's always good to know the man behind the screen. It's always good to know the face behind the success, right? So starting it off, before I mentioned the twist, so what's the background story for how did it all happen for Charles Dossi basically to be on the 27th of November 2024, where Bitcoin is breaking close to $95,000 right now, and you being literally right behind with this incredible green color. And just like I said, we love green color, so there's a lot to explain. I'm all ears.
Yes, so I started my journey in crypto in 2011. When I was a student before 2011, obviously, I was doing a lot of peer-to-peer file sharing. So I had a small budget and I had no money for MP3s and no money for movies. So some of you might know BitTorrent, but before BitTorrent, there was many different kind of protocol, and those protocol have been evolving in being decentralized for the file sharing. So I was some kind of soft hacker over there, and one day, one friend of mine shared with me a white paper which was saying Bitcoin, and it was saying peer-to-peer money. And I knew peer-to-peer very well. I've seen this kind of digital organism evolving over the years of my student life. So I understood the Bitcoin infrastructure fairly quickly, but I realized reading this paper and spending time into the Bitcoin rabbit hole that I was not really understanding money. And that was a big kind of punch in the face for me, thinking like I have money in my pocket, not much, but I don't really understand how it works. So that was the beginning of my story with Bitcoin. Eventually, I bought my first Bitcoin on Taobao, the Chinese eBay. There was two options in 2011. Either you buy directly peer-to-peer to some people locally, or you could buy on Taobao, the Chinese eBay, or you could buy on Mongox. I happen not to buy on Mongox, and I don't regret that because Mongox kind of collapsed a few weeks after. But then, yeah, I started with Bitcoin. I spent some time on it. Then I got busy with my own life and selling one of the company I was running at the time. I kind of came back into crypto in 2015 or so with Ethereum, which was kind of bringing this kind of business logic on decentralized computing, which was very interesting. The birth of smart contract essentially. And then I decided to make this passion my full-time job. So at the time, I was with the Hong Kong government. I was head of fintech for the Hong Kong government. Hong Kong being one of the large international financial center, and I was in charge with different people and regulators over there to reshape the financial ecosystem into a fintech ecosystem. And one of my vertical over there was blockchain. So I worked with many different companies. Fast forward, I was hired by Joseph Lubin as a co-founder of Ethereum to start the Hong Kong office of Consensus. Then I took care of Asia and then global business development for Consensus. So I spend a lot of time with MetaMask, with a lot of the infrastructure built by Consensus at the time, building CBDCs with central banks, doing early days of DeFi. So very interesting journey. And eventually, I joined the dYdX Foundation as a CEO about 2 years ago now. Very curious and very excited about building this app chain, building the constantly evolving leadership of dYdX in the world of crypto derivative, which is the world largest crypto market. And yes, being involved in the governance together with the DAOs and the community, being involved in the business development, and kind of building hands-on with many others this app chain narrative and exploring how it can bring a very unique value proposition. I'm sure we're gonna double click on this later on.
Yeah, there you go. So, what do you think actually? What do you think on the Web3 side of the distribution? Like, how is it distributed? Is it centralized? Is it truly decentralized? Can we say that Bitcoin is truly decentralized? Can we say that Bitcoin is truly decentralized? Like the way that it's owned by, for instance, over 1% of supply is held by MicroStrategy. So is it really decentralized? Like, what about Web3? And ultimately, why are there so many scammers in Web3?
So decentralization is a big topic. So I think the number one assumptions we need to agree on is not everyone care about decentralization. Not everyone care about the software behind your mobile phone or behind your laptop. People are just too busy with their own life. And then decentralization is also a spectrum. You're not supposed to decentralize Bitcoin the same way you decentralize an app chain or any other type of infrastructure. So decentralization comes with different degrees and different flavors. I think so. That's why you don't decentralize the same way the dYdX chain, for example, which is an app chain, a chain dedicated to one application, the same way you decentralize a general purpose blockchain such as Ethereum or Solana overall. But I think there is a minimum level of decentralization which is really required for the product to be credible. And I think this is what people should be aiming at. And sometimes for your product to be credible, you need to be massively decentralized. Sometimes you need to be sufficiently decentralized, and it depends of many different parts of the context here. But when it comes to why there is so many scammers, because it's a very big opportunities, and the scammers can get very quickly a global reach. But there is not scammers only in crypto. Scammers are all over the place for thousands of years, but they just find a new exciting topic. But I think eventually it's not a good playground for scammers. By design, crypto and blockchain in general is really a place where we can trace everything, we can follow everything, we can verify everything. So yes, there is some scams, but with a little bit of education, like your good work and some understanding of how the infrastructure work, eventually scamming people on crypto is not a good idea. We can always find where you are and prevent that.
Oh yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Right, that's actually one of the main counter arguments that I have when some people say that all crypto is scams. Like there are so many scams. True, but at the same time, like how many millions and trillions and billions of dollars every single day are being basically fraudulently transacted, and laundered, against any sort of like AML regulations, on a daily basis between, for instance, some military different stuff, government contractual stuff that they have, so all in all, we faced all those different Bernie Madoff schemes of the pyramid schemes and all sorts of different traps in crypto. And at the same time, I think they all come together when there is big interest in the market, right? It's when you don't pull up probably too many pyramid schemes when there's no recipients, right? At the same time, I could imagine that when there are a lot of people, just like I mentioned, it's basically like good time to harvest, right? And when it's good time to harvest for all those scammers, this is related to the market cycles, right? So are we there yet? Are there a lot of scammers because they see that there are so many people that is just their best time right to go, or there's still so much more upside, that they're gonna get engaged?
There is much more upside. There is so much innovation. The scammers will be around us. We just have to accept that. The same way when you take the metro or when you take the bus or the train, you might have a pickpocket in your train and they will never really disappear. So you just want to be cautious. You want to get like the right infrastructure around you. You want to use the right protocols. And the funny thing, Adrian, is what I learned over the years is we are building on trustless technology. Smart contracts are trustless. Blockchain is trustless. But we are more than ever in the trust business. Anyone can write a smart contract, but if I don't really know you, if I don't know the team behind, people are not dumb now anymore, and they will not jump on all these kind of things. So it's important when you think of how you approach this bull market and all these opportunities, like where do you put your trust? Do you put your trust on some random things you've seen on Twitter or some obscure Discord, or do you have like a plan? And do you have a strategy? Do you follow this plan? And does this plan involve like doing the best you can from this bull run with the best platforms and surrounded by the best people also? And it's a choice. People have the choice. And so I invite everyone to take the time to kind of cool down and trying to get a plan. Your mission in this bull run is not to fuck this up. It's a great opportunity for many of us. So just try to stay calm, design a plan, read again, put things on paper, and try to do the best of this bull run, surrounded by the best projects, the best protocols, the best friends around, and I hope everyone will be successful and gonna make it, as we say.
Yeah, WAGMI, we're all gonna make it. That's what it shortens to
Yeah.
actually. Although dYdX, as an entity, is also on the decentralization spectrum, right?
Mm.
So where is it actually? Is it closer to decentralization? Is it closer to decentralization? If you were to explain it like I'm five.
Absolutely. Very good question. So dYdX is doing perps since 2018. So very, very focused group of technologists which are focusing on one market, which is the world's largest crypto market, the perps market. dYdX has two big chapters of history. The first part of the history of dYdX happened on Ethereum on layer one, later on Starknet, where dYdX was partially decentralized. The order book was hosted on AWS because at the time no blockchain could support the frequency and the velocity required for the size of the dYdX chain activity. And at the time, the order book was hosted on AWS, and the chain was taking care of the settlement and wallets and all this good stuff. On the Ethereum side of the history of dYdX recorded 1 trillion with a T, US dollar of trading volume. So just massive success. And then through the history of dYdX, so much learning and questions came to the mind of the developers and the founder, Antonio Giuliano. And eventually they came to the consensus that now that the technology is offering the optionality to decentralize further? Do you want to decentralize further? Do you want to be more clear about your identity as a product, as a project? Do you want to be half decentralized and half centralized? Or do you want to be clear about your identity? You're a centralized project or you're decentralized? And eventually they came to the conclusion, which I think makes a lot of sense. You need to be very opinionated and very clear about who you are. And if the technology allows you to be more clear about your vision, which is being a leader and the world's largest DeFi protocol, you need to be decentralized. So that's why the dYdX chain came about, and that's where the second chapter of the history of dYdX started, with the launch of the dYdX chain about 12 months ago now, in October 2023, where essentially the technology was allowing to decentralize the order book and not having any components anymore being a centralization point for dYdX. And that's exactly what dYdX chain is delivering today. So the dYdX you can experiment today is essentially running fully on blockchain with a chain with 60 active different validators. And these validators have two jobs. One job is to validate and secure the chain, but also they are hosting the order book. So the order book is technically decentralized, but sitting on the RAM memory of the validators. So I would say in the world of DeFi, and in the world of high frequency DeFi, dYdX is definitely on the very positive part of the spectrum of decentralization, having the vast majority of infrastructure being decentralized. There is one piece missing in decentralization at dYdX is the indexer. The indexer is still I would say one component which is run by an independent DAO, which is a kind of a centralized component, but otherwise the key part of the protocol are now totally decentralized. And I think it's important, and I think the market recognizes. One thing why it's important is because the opportunity of crypto derivative is just massive. Crypto derivatives is the world's largest crypto market. Crypto derivatives are 10 times bigger than spot. Let me just repeat that. This is so important. People are excited by the volume on Uniswap or the volume on spots somewhere on some centralized exchanges. But the same pattern you will find in crypto, you will find exactly the same in equity market. Derivatives are way, way larger, 10 times bigger. So what we see with this market is the market is evolving very quickly. Today, about 5% of the derivatives are traded on chain, and we probably have 10 more percent if we want to look at the same kind of patterns and speed of migration we can observe in spot. Today, about 15% of the global spot trading is happening on chain. Today, only 5% of the crypto derivative trading is happening on chain. So there is about 10% to catch up here. So that's why it's important to build this infrastructure properly, because the wave of activity migrating on chain is just massive and is 10 times bigger than spot again. So that's why dYdX has been very focused on building solid and reliable decentralized perps venue and protocol built out of an order book. An order book is different from what Uniswap is, for example. Uniswap is an AMM, so Uniswap is very good for trading on-chain small volumes and maybe long tail assets. But the order book is really the best architecture for any type of DeFi exchange, should it be centralized or decentralized. And dYdX is a decentralized order book. So what it means is the quality of execution, the pace of execution, the performance overall of the order book and the kind of price discovery. All of this is best in class when you follow an order book type of architecture.
So is that the only factor that sets dYdX sort of apart from all the other competitors, for all the other DeFi protocols, from all the other exchanges? Like, or is there somewhere else as well?
So it's a combination of many things, right? When I spend time with market makers or with large crypto hedge funds, the thing which come often is crypto in crypto, and especially for the perps, it's a very large market. When you enter this market, you want to be dealing with proper venues, and many people come back to us and say, we love dYdX because you guys exist since 2018. Since 2018, there is no accident, there is no story, there is nothing went wrong. A few things went wrong, but it was like bugs and stuff which were publicly fixed, and part of a very ambitious roadmap of innovation. But effectively, dYdX is trusted, and what it means is that when new money is coming in crypto, when new money is coming in DeFi, they're not jumping on the new project. When new money is starting, when new money comes in crypto and they start DeFi lending, they go to Aave. When new money start in derivatives, they go to dYdX. So that's a very unfair advantage, being in the space for a long time and being trusted and being diligent and respected for a long time. So trust is a big factor, and this is part of the responsibility of the foundation to make sure that the branding and the governance and everything is properly run. And then the focus is also an unfair advantage versus the competition. The focus on perps, we only do perps. That's all we do. We never extend it to something else. We just want to be the best global venue for perps, which is the world's largest market. So the focus is also paying off, and it shows into the performance and the experience for users. And then the pace of innovation. When you choose to be focused so much, you accelerate on innovation. A few weeks ago, there was like perps, perpetuals wrapping a prediction market. We launched a few days ago instant listing for more than hundreds of different assets, automatic liquidity. So there is many different aspects of dYdX which make it different from the competitors. And maybe just to close on this point, let's define together, Adrian, the competition. Who do you think is the competition for dYdX? Question for you.
Oh man, I think the competition is, well, I would see the competition anything that just drags everybody else's attention away from you, basically, right? It may be the same type of a businesses and similar business model, but different entities, right? In different, call it, jurisdictions, more or less centralized on the placed differently on the decentralization spectrum. At the
Mm,
same time, from the perspective of a simple trader, right? The choice that I have to make, knowing and having the limited assets, basically, is choosing the decentralized exchange or centralized exchange, right?
absolutely.
Most of the people. So that's the way I see it. I mean, it's not only the dexes that the competitors are here, of course, and there are many names, for many dexes, right? There's Apex from Bybit. There's, like, for instance, I mean, Uniswap, of course, right? But it's not going to be the same fashion as you said. Still, it's something that drags traders' attentions away from dYdX, right? So anything that is tradable in terms of, like, the exchanges, the centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, like the liquidity aggregators, whatever people can put their money in and just take something out, that would be a broad term of figuring out, who your competitor is. So not only the dexes, not only the sexes, not only the Uniswap, not only the kind of like a typical traditional swaps, that people have on their wallets. I would say that a combination of all of those is basically who you kind of like compete against, right? So it's, until or unless, I think, the market cycle allows for so many more people to flow in, we are still preaching to the same amount of people, if you know what I mean, right? It's a little bit of a restricted area, I should say, because there are the retail interest. If you take a look at the numbers, Charles, right? The retail interest, last time I checked, 2 3 days ago,
Hmm.
it was uh it was up to 68%, if I'm not mistaken, down right now to 50, anywhere between 50 and 60% on the retail interest. Even taking something as simple as an indicator of the Google trends, how many Google searches there were on the Bitcoin side, and it's against the 2021 peak, basically meaning that 6 out of 10 people that were interested about crypto, about Bitcoin specifically, 3 years ago, right?
Yeah,
When the space was so much smaller, there were no institution kind of like money on a big scale. There were no ETFs, no kind of like
yeah,
BlackRocks and so
yeah.
on. Their space has grown and matured so much, right? Blair, I think, is talking about crypto's flight to quality. ARK Invest, Kathy Woods basically predicts, 20,000 Ethereum, and of course, multi hundred thousands, targets on Bitcoin, which, well, like it or not, are, treated very often and taken seriously to a large extent because of people who are not dealing actively with crypto, right? So they use it as role models, they use it as benchmarks, and because they say so, in everybody else's minds, this has to be some factor to the truth there, regardless it's not or not, right? So still, I mean, there's 5 or 10 or 6 out of 10 people, that were interested in 2021. They are here right now, which means that is less, actually, space, less money. Well, not less money, but less, just fewer people, right? Fewer
Yeah,
attendees to the
yeah,
market, fewer players. And as a matter of fact, for any exchange, for any enterprise, for any business to flourish, people need users, right? So there is this rip-off effect that the entities and the businesses just ripping off, a little bit in to almost tearing apart all those poor, people, trying to incentivize them and bribe them into kind of like just, engaging with the protocols, with like, why should they go for, the 15% IPR when they can go for 57% IPR,
yeah, yeah.
or the staking or the lockups, whatever that is. There are many different incentives while we are still playing in the same field, right? So if you were, for instance, to tag upon, the recent release from the dYdX, I'm talking about the unlimited part, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You launched dYdX Unlimited, very very recently. Massive congratulations! I think that's a
Thank you.
that's a that's a big milestone, actually, leading into, like I said, just increasing this space, just expanding this space so much more. Uh, there are many people that might be just not aware yet about that feature. So could you run us through it a little bit quick?
Absolutely. So since dYdX expanded to the dYdX chain, there is quarterly upgrades and sometimes monthly upgrade as well, depending on the size of the upgrades. The latest upgrade happened last week, and it's called dYdX Unlimited. There is three things you want to remember about dYdX Unlimited. Number one, the Mega Vault, which is essentially automatic liquidity for the overall dYdX protocol. Number two is instant market listing, and number three is refreshed and upgraded trading rewards. So if we double click on each of these three, Megavolt, instant listing, and new trading rewards, we can start with Megavolt. So Megavolt essentially today, just after a few days of being launched, is already 25 million US dollar of depositors of USDC, which have been deposited by thousands of depositors from Asia, depositors from Europe. So it's just an amazing kind of very, very fast growth. So these 25 million and counting USDCs are essentially being deployed on the order book of dYdX to bring some liquidity and essentially making sure that the experience for users, whenever they want to list a new asset or whenever they want to come and trade their favorite coins or meme coins or RWA, they get enough liquidity. When you deal with a very large offering like dYdX with more than 160 different trading pairs, you need to think very deeply about liquidity. Liquidity does not come organically. Sometimes you need to either discuss and possibly engage with market makers, but you cannot do that for such a long tail of assets, right? So this is one way you get a differentiator also from the centralized exchanges is by the code and by the innovation you can deploy on dYdX, you bring liquidity via this megavolt for all the trading pairs. So what does it mean to be a depositor on the megavolt? Essentially, you can decide if you want to deposit some USDCs into the megavolt. Last time I checked, there is about 50% APR. So essentially, you can park some of your USDC for some time. You can remove them anytime you like, and essentially get some
49% as we speak, APR,
49 as
49%.
we speak. So this is variating always, right? And you can get some APR. So these APRs are coming from two different sources. So this APR is coming from number one is coming from the part of the trading fees paid by the users. So when the users use the dYdX as a protocol, users are paying trading fees to the protocol. And 50% of these trading fees are essentially distributed to the depositors on the Megavolt. So that's one part. So the more people use the dYdX, the more they pay fees, the more rewards are distributed to the depositors. The second part of the APR is coming from market making on the order book. So this megavolt is essentially automatically bringing liquidity on the order book of the dYdX. And essentially, by bringing liquidity, it has the opportunity to generate some APR. So it brings for the Mega Vault depositor a very healthy stream of APR, which vary. We started with triple digit. Now there is more and more size for the mega vault. So the APR is reducing, and also the condition of the market might make this APR reducing or evolving. But there is two. It's a solid APR in my opinion because it comes from organic activity. It's not coming from inflation. It's not coming from a gimmick. Like if there is more activity, there is more trade. If there is just more rewards being shared with the Megavolt depositor. So I invite everyone to go have a look, dYdX.trade/vault, and get an understanding how it works. Ask questions on Discord and see if this is a fit for you. The second part of the big upgrade of dYdX is actually the instant market listing. And instant market listing fits very elegantly together with the mega vault. So there is this option now, and I think in the past 3 days, about 16 new markets have been launched by the users of dYdX on dYdX. And when you launch these new markets, you need to bring liquidity as well. And this is where the mega vault helps these new listings to be essentially uh, a good experience for the users from the listing itself. So
And
instant
on
listing,
that note,
yeah,
on that note, Charles, right? There's a question that is literally tapping on what you just mentioned and actually extending deeper into it. So, quote: I wonder how you approach liquidity demands as an intraday trader. Liquidity or lack thereof, has always been an issue for me. But I have to say, I'm impressed with what I've seen with dYdX. So, how do you approach the liquidity demands from your perspective?
very good question. I will try to go straight to the point so we can cover more questions from the audience. The liquidity on dYdX is coming from three different sources of liquidity. First, the organic trading on dYdX. There is thousands of users constantly trading on dYdX. Some of them are buyers, some of them are sellers. It creates organic liquidity. Number two, there is market makers. Any market maker you can think of is probably plugged on dYdX and will trade part of his book every day on dYdX. Those market makers comes for the organic liquidity and the kind of opportunity on the market of dYdX, but they are also incentivized by the protocol of dYdX via governance to receive some rewards when they provide liquidity on specific market which needs some liquidity support. That's the second part of the liquidity. And the last part of the liquidity is the mega vault. $25 million raised in a few days, which are deployed
It's
on the
actually right
order
now
book.
30 millions. Yeah, just
30
just
million.
by
You
the
see, so
latest.
you need to keep the pulse on this. This is just an amazing product market fit. It's just amazing to see just after a few tweets and a little bit of conversation with the users, suddenly the word of mouth just spread everywhere, and this product just grew by the second. So yeah, the liquidity is approached in three different things: organic liquidity, because there is a product market fit with dYdX. We do these kind of things for so long. Then there is the market makers and the market makers trading rewards. And then there is also the mega vault. So that's why you're getting such a good experience on liquidity, because it's well thought and kind of battle tested.
Yeah. And speaking of the questions, right? Because we're inevitably getting closer and closer towards the wrap of the show, even though that's been already amazing 30 over 30 minutes, discussion of your picking up your brain. So there's a question from Giftech Kings, which I like the name, by the way. I look for smooth interfaces and the ability to have several multiple buy order and exits in one order. How close are we to this? Is this already kind of like on the checklist? Is this done, or are you going to be developing more into it? Like, what does it look like from the dYdX perspective?
So there is already multiple order types on dYdX. So you can do a stop loss, you can capture gain, you can go market, obviously, you can go limits. I think there is also additional orders available via API. So some users of dYdX are using dYdX via a trading bot or via an API type of client access. So all of this is very good feedback. I think we see already like a large number of kind of order types being available for traders, and this will keep evolving. But so thanks for your feedback. But please have a look again and maybe explore the documentation of the API. You might find something which will match your requirements.
And one more before I get to my private final question to you, Charles, is can you explain again how it works to create your own pair on dYdX? And could this also be done for crypto asset that sits on a 10 million market cap. I think there is a hint that it might or may not be a meme coin. Can you create a meme coin pair on dYdX, for instance?
Absolutely. So just a reminder first is dYdX is a perps trading venue only. So you cannot list spot on dYdX. It's only perps. To create a perps, we need a price feed, which will essentially reflect the market price of the spot assets. So we can start to create a perps contract around it. So the number one, I would say, requirement for being to access like instant listing on dYdX is to be listed somewhere as a spot. You can be listed on Uniswap, you can be listed on Radium. There is multiple ways to get listed fairly quickly, right? So you need to be listed somewhere in spot, and then a perps can be created. So that's the number one requirement. Then the second part is either you can browse. There is an existing list of more than 500 different assets which are listable today. So please go have a look. dYdX.trade. You look at the market. There is a section called listable. You go in this section and you look like you look for a meme coin or something you're looking at. So that's one way. List something which is already listable. Otherwise, there is a protocol called Skip protocol, which is essentially doing a constant market mapping and getting regular updates of the new coin. And when those coins are essentially within the requirement of being listed in spot with a sufficient level of volumes and a reliable price feed, then you can be listed on dYdX. But the universe of tradable assets is thousands of different tradable assets. Today, 167 tradable asset, but there is a potential right now today of adding an additional 600, and every week there is some hundreds more which are being added. So a very, very large universe. And this is the advantage of exploring trading on DeFi, that the pace of listing is way faster than the sexes.
I like that. And the final question, I actually take full ownership of that one. So you asked me specifically to make it hard. So tell me one thing, Charles, one thing that no one else knows about dYdX, but only you that you're not gonna tell. You ask for it.
one one thing, I mean, one thing some people know or is not very public, maybe two things. Something which was really inspiring and unexpected for me when I started my journey with the community of dYdX is like the depth of the community. And some people have been part of the dYdX journey for many, many years. Some of them got the airdrop from dYdX, and for some of them this has been life changing. And I remember meeting one user of dYdX telling me the airdrop came just fantastically well timed. My mom was sick. We had to pay the hospital. I had a very, very small budget. The ICO, the airdrop essentially helped us to cover all these costs and get a new home and taking care of the families. That was just so inspiring for me. The second thing people don't realize is that, and it's kind of, if you read between the line and if you look at who is speaking about dYdX, you realize, but people don't realize that the major player in crypto are already using dYdX. The biggest OTC shops, the biggest crypto hedge funds are there. If you look, this is public information. Like some of the validators on dYdX are here for a reason, and just give it a few more months, and you're gonna realize like, why is Binance a validator of the dYdX chain? Is dYdX a competitor of Binance? Why is Coinbase a validator? Why is OKX a validator? Why is Kraken a validator? Like there is a lot of very, very big players which are really putting actions and being deeply involved with the protocol. And I think everyone have an agenda with that. They know that DeFi is growing strong, and they better be working together with dYdX, and dYdX is welcoming them, and we're happy to work with them on many other topics. But I think many people don't realize that this industry is growing and converging. And I believe that the CeFi players, the Binance, the Coinbase of the world, will be very, very big contributors of DeFi in the future, and they are the low-hanging fruit for us. They already have like tens of millions of users, which are comfortable within the centralized exchange. All these centralized exchanges are in a global race for acquiring licenses in different countries. When they get a license in a country, for the most part, it's only for spot. So they have to stop futures, they have to stop lending immediately. and all their users have to stop that. So what all these centralized exchanges are doing, they are building a non-custodial wallet strategy, saying, okay, sorry, you are living in, let's say, in Germany. We have a license in Germany now, so we cannot offer you futures. We cannot offer you lending anymore. We can only do spot. But we have the DeFi wallet of Binance, the DeFi wallet of OKX, and so on. And we're going to be gateway for you to facilitate you access to DeFi. And I think again, if you start to connect a few dots, like why these big players are investing and creating bridges with dYdX. They have a plan, and we have a plan also. So I think that's something that many people are not maybe reading yet between the leaves, but hopefully we gave them a little bit of inspirations where to go explore further on the potential of dYdX.
So the bottom line, everybody, put in layman terms, is yes, you can list your meme quiz on dYdX. Well, what an
That's a
incredible
good sum up.
show!
Thank you for that, Adrian.
All jokes aside, though, what an incredible session it's been with our today's guest, everybody, Charles Dussey of dYdX Foundation. And before we actually wrap, I want to encourage everybody to go ahead and give it a check to our incredible, like I said, partners and sponsors at dYdX, to go ahead on the dYdX.trade, for instance, and you can go ahead and check on the mainnet, on the trade, on all the market side, on the portfolio control, on the Mega Vault with 49% APR, and TVL breaking out $30 million just now. And there's a lot of incredible corners, and I'm actually satisfied with your answer in terms of this twists that I added to the question, Charles. So I appreciate it. It's been a very good discussion. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for spending so much time with us.
Thank you, Adrian, for having me, and keep up the good work. It's really inspiring to follow your work and be part of the community. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Charles. And I truly believe, just like you mentioned, like dYdX is doing incredible work, and just like you mentioned, one industry of the perps. I took on also similar mission, right? And you have to pick one thing that you're good at and keep on doing this for the rest of your life. I've chose losing money, right? So I chose losing money. So I keep losing money. I'm very good at losing money. To an extent, I'm actually profitable at the time, which is awesome. But I'm a professional loser. When someone asks me what I do for a living, I say that I'm a professional loser. I'm just very good at losing. So it is what it is, everybody. Listen, before we go, this is a huge shout out and appreciation again to Charles Dussey, the entire dYdX company, the dYdX Foundation, to everybody who's participating, to the entire community, to everybody behind the protocol, to all the validators as well. And do not forget, before we go, to take an opportunity out of the giveaway that we have with the QR code that is going to be displayed right in the screen right now, that you can actually grant you free membership, unlimited membership, speaking on the unlimited terms, within the bird nest, that you can gain access to actually profitable guidance with 24/7 support from me, from my team. We are actually accredited to do what we are doing. There's an official Charter Market Technician Association credential that is the only one in my country. And I wish there were many fewer scammers in the space, right? Because this space is filled with dirty scammers and a lot of Ponzi schemes, and it's just easy to lose money. And we actually help and spread the good word and educate, point at the right direction. And that right direction has been Charles Dussey of dYdX Foundation. So take ahead, follow them on Twitter, definitely dYdX. You're not gonna regret it. That's my kind recommendation for everybody. I've been your host, Data has CMT, Charter Market Technician. Thank you so much, and let's roll on to the next show. God bless. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Cheers.